Oh, here goes, and welcome to the 133rd episode of Throwback Hoops. Woody V's in the house. And as always, please follow the show on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I'm joined by my main man, Robbie Clayton. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, brother? Good to be back for another week. I'm enjoying these NBL previews and everything else like that, and starting to get excited with the season approaching quickly.
Yeah, well, the Blitz starts this weekend, so it's already here, man.
I wish I was there. I must admit, I do like the Gold Coast as a holiday spot, so it would have been cool to have gone down. But anyway, yeah.
All right, then, without further ado, let's kick things off, man. What jersey have you got for us today?
Well, I thought I'd continue that theme of some random ones. I know you've kind of seen the front. I'm tipping you've got no idea who this one is, so you probably haven't even seen me rock this one before. So I'll stand up and show you who I'm wearing, and then I'll tell a little story about this guy.
So for those who can't see, so our audio listeners, Robbie's wearing the City Edition number 34 Golden State Warriors Mike Dunleavy Jr. jersey. Awesome. Is that Mike Dunleavy Jr. or Senior?
That's a junior. Yeah.
Junior, right? Doesn't have the junior on it, right?
No, yeah, I don't think he did back in the day with that, which is interesting. But you didn't know I had this one, did you?
That's awesome, man.
Been waiting to show this one for a while. I love the colours on this one. So, yeah, another random one. It's a Mike Dunleavy Jr. blue Golden State Warriors Reebok jersey. So it's the throwback to the 1966-67 season. So really love the style for this. We know they kind of brought these back. A lot of times it was the yellow one that we saw, wasn't it? But not so much the blue one here. So, yeah, definitely a fan of this jersey. Yeah, a little bit about Dunleavy Jr. So he played 15 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Duke by the Warriors at pick 3 in the 2002 draft. Now, a quick pop quiz for you, Woods. Who are the two players drafted ahead of Dunleavy Jr.? So he went pick 3 in 2002. Who went 1 and 2? Number 2 was his teammate, and number 1 was an international star, if that gives you... Give you some clues. I love putting you on the spot.
Golden State Warriors. He got drafted by the Golden State Warriors, did he?
Yeah.
2000.
This is stalling when you're asking questions like that back. But yeah, number 1 was an international star. Number 2 was another Duke guy.
Having a blank. Tell me.
Yao Ming went number 1.
Yep.
And Jay Williams from Duke went number 2. And while I'm doing the trivia there was actually 3 Duke players in that draft, and the best one of all of them went at pick 35, and that was Carlos Boozer. So out of all those 3, he was one that ended up having the best career, which is pretty funny to think about it. So yeah, he played with the Warriors, Pacers, Bucks, Bulls, Cavs, and then where did he finish off his career, Woods, in the 2017 season with our Hawks? And he actually wasn't too bad that season too. So, look, he played close to 1,000 games. Almost a little bit of an underrated player, I would have thought, Woods. A career scoring average of 11.2. Was always a really important role player on the teams he played with, and someone that teams coveted to try and get him on their squads towards the end of his career there. So, of course, he's the son of Mike Dunleavy Sr., who was an NBA player and a 17-year NBA coach. And yeah, Dunleavy Jr. is still very much involved in the game. He is the GM of the Warriors after replacing Bob Myers in June 2023 there. So pretty prime role to land that one there. So maybe I'll ask you, what were your memories of Mike Dunleavy Jr.? And maybe what team do you remember him most on out of those ones I read out?
Definitely the Warriors. I used to use that Warriors team on the original street ball game with Mike Dunleavy Jr., etc. I just remember him being a great pure shooter, someone who could make the open shot. He also had a couple of seasons where he threatened to be a borderline all-star. I think that 11 points a game, you said he was getting it up to 17, 18 in a couple of seasons there at Golden State. His father didn't play for Golden State, actually, did he?
No, he had a bit of a journeyman career sort of thing. Was a pretty solid sort of player. A lot different players. Like I think Senior was maybe 6'2", and Junior was a good sort of 6'9". So he was sneaky big, Mike Dunleavy Jr.
And a good rebounder, I remember he was.
He was, and sort of stretched the floor. He was probably a bit of ahead of his time. We do say that on the show for sure. But you imagine him coming out now, and he was obviously pretty highly regarded. He won a championship with Duke there as well. So yeah, a bit of a trip down memory lane. Of course, he's trying to keep that Warriors team now as a high sort of team in the NBA now, and it's going to be hard, right? They've signed some of those guys to contracts. We've seen Clay being the first sort of piece of the puzzle that's left now. Now he's got to see what he's going to do with some of these other guys. Their draft record has not been great, has it, the last few years? But he obviously, he was in the front office, but he wasn't quite, holding it title he does now. So maybe they can turn things around. So yeah, Mike Dunleavy Jr., a bit of a trip from memory lane there. So
great career.
Yeah, and you're rocking an old school NBL one today, I can see.
Yeah, I've already worn this before, so I'll just stand up quickly and I'll tell you why I'm wearing it.
Woods is rocking the Spurs hat, and he's rocking the old school Hobart Devils, David Close jersey. So that's a jersey I definitely like there, mate.
I know you do. And this jersey is 30 years old. And the reason I thought I'd wear this jersey is we're embarking on a new season of the NBL. The Jack Jumpers won a championship in their third season, right?
Mm.
If we look back 30 years ago, these young kids, 10, 15 years old, they were loving their basketball. And the Hobart Tassie Devils didn't perform as well as the Jack Jumpers, but they did have a great following back in the day, right?
Mm.
I was going to ask you, what does it mean to some of these guys that are now probably in their early 40s, mid 40s, that were teenagers that had to wait 30 years for another sporting team to come and actually win a championship? A lot of those guys would have been holding on to this hope for a long time and would have meant a lot to them, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think we were happy all along that they got basketball back on the island, right? It was, it's a national competition. It was a bit strange. I forget how long they were in the NBL for. Like they were
8-9 years.
If you know that, yeah, and sort of they just disappeared, didn't they? And kind of just forgotten about it. It was just, it almost felt normal for a while not to have a team from Tassie down there. So yeah, I think it means a lot to ex-players, fans, and just the general public there. And we can see how much they've embraced the team. They are as parochial a fan base as you'll see now. If you get any sort of comment on social media or anything else like that, they're some of the ones that'll fire up more than any other fan base there, which is great to see, really.
Yeah, for sure. And look, my other question to you is, being sports fans, both of us, not just basketball, both of my favorite codes have teams there in Tasmania in the cricket and the basketball.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the fan bases for the Hurricanes and the Jack Jumpers have been great, and the local public have been getting behind their sporting franchises. Are we going to see a shift where more sporting teams set up their base in Tasmania now on the back of this?
I mean, I think they will. I mean, the AFL team's got the licence. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. It might be 2028 or something when they're coming in. I could be way off with that, but they've definitely got the licence and everything else like that. I think they're going to be called the Devils as well. Yeah, they're definitely, I think the population's kind of increased a bit, and they are a sports-loving population there. So the weather's maybe not always favourable for these outside sports. That's why I think it works so well with basketball there. But no, it's good to see. And as we said, if these competitions want to be truly national competitions, then you've got to have a team in Tassie, right?
For sure. And really proud moment for the people of Tasmania for a sporting championship to come there last year. And I think under Scott Roth's tutelage, this club, the sky's the limit for this ball club. All right, so we're going to actually get into our previews today. We're going to preview the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers and the New Zealand Breakers. I think over the last few years, we've done these two together consistently, haven't we, on the same episode?
Yeah, I wonder if that's just because they're sort of, I guess, close to in proximity, I guess.
Normally
the Tassie teams get maybe associated with the Melbourne teams, don't they? But it's just kind of the way it's worked out with us doing it. So we should say we've got the two today, Woods, and then who have we got left? We've got our teams, Perth and Sydney, and then is Adelaide, the only other team. So basically 3 teams to go. So, yeah, nice. And then some predictions, of course, some very bold predictions that we'll make. Yeah,
excited about that. All right, if you could just see the screen in front of me, Robbie, if you just want to take the audience through what the roster looks like.
Hey, Woods, before I go through, tell me your best pronunciation of the New Zealand coach there, because I'm going to probably butcher it. What's your understanding of his name there?
Let's go with Petteri Kaponen.
So former NBA draft pick, so he comes in with pretty high pedigree, very respected coach there. So, look, we've had a few teams like this. There's a lot of movement, isn't there? If you look at some of the players coming in, basically the imports, Gillespie's pretty highly touted. Jonah Bolden coming over from your Kings. Mitch McCarron coming over from Adelaide, which I think is a good signing. Mojave King back in the league. We've got another Bear star in the league now, Sam Menenga crossing from Cairns. So, and also a next star in Lopez there. So a lot of movement there. Obviously, we've seen a lot of players. I don't think we have the outgoing players on there, do we? But, there's been a lot of turnover. I think all 3 imports 2 of the 3 imports, the law firm's the only one back there. We're talking a depth chart. Looking at a starting 5, we've got the law firm, Matt Mooney, King, Bolden, and Gillespie there. So I've got to say, that looks like a pretty impressive starting lineup there. And there's a bit of depth on the bench. I know there's a few people complaining, Woods, maybe you can speak on this in your preview, that there's not enough local talent. And I mean local talent is in Kiwis on this team. I know there's been a few people in New Zealand a little bit unhappy with that. I think it might be the least amount of Kiwis they've had on their team for some time, this team here. So, yeah, looking forward to hear your thoughts on this Breakers lineup.
Well, firstly, this is a national basketball league, which means that Australians or New Zealanders are local, right? So this is a ball club looking to build a team to win a championship. So they're going to get whatever talent's available on the market. Sure, they want to have some New Zealand representation, and we see a little bit of that. But
There's one, though, right?
Yeah.
Menenga's the only one.
Yeah, I mean, Mojave King, would you?
Well, I think he's more Aussie than King.
Max Darling.
Yeah, there's a couple of the fringe players, I guess, yeah.
All right, well, let's start with the imports, right? The first one was Parker Jackson Cartwright. A big reason for him wanting to come back was to work under Coach Modi Mayor. Obviously, that was spoken about it before. Modi Mayor leaving didn't change Parker Jackson Cartwright's decision to come. And he seems to be embracing the opportunity to play under a new coach. So that's the first promising thing. Now, replacing the imports from last year, we had Lamb and we had Zylan Cheatham, right? Really good imports. I mean, New Zealand really
had good imports the year before, didn't they?
The year before as well, with your
Derek Pardon, those sort of guys, Brantley.
Yeah, Jarrell Brantley. So this year they've brought in Matt Mooney and Freddie Gillespie, right? What are they going to offer? Well, we know Matt Mooney. We've seen him in the NBA for playing alongside Delhi. He's played at a few different ball clubs. He's been at New York recently from memory. He's a great shooter. He's 6'2", can fill it up. Parker Jackson Cartwright will find him open in the corners, especially. He's a great corner and wing shooter, so I think he's going to really help that New Zealand team. Mojave King got a point to prove. I think that this is an opportunity for him to show what he can do, after coming back after some time in the G League, Robbie. So
can I ask you a question on that, Woods? Because I know you were pretty high on Mojave King years ago, and I remember you almost I hadn't even heard of the bloke, and you were telling me about this guy, Mojave King, really athletic sort of guy, and I was sort of on my radar then. And he's been in the G League for how many years now? Two or three?
I think he had 1 year at Cairns, then 1 year at Adelaide, and then only 1 year in the G League Unite, right? So
Adelaide, I seem to forget that year with Adelaide. He may have even not lasted the season with them, then he might, but he's been in America for a little while.
He had issues with him not being so coachable. Mike Kelly, probably the nicest guy, right? Found it difficult to coach him, as did CJ Bruton. Hopefully going and spending some time abroad and maturing. He's come back with some values that'll help him succeed at this level, right? Freddie Gillespie, let me just touch on him real quickly, right? I wanted to talk about the three imports, right? Freddie Gillespie is going to give you... He's not going to be a prototypical center that stretches the floor and shoots threes and has range, right? He shot 36% from the free throw line last year, right? So he's going to give you a 10-10 kind of guy. He's going to be a good rim runner. He's going to give you putbacks. He's a lob threat. He's extremely athletic, and he's going to give you stocks. Steals and blocks, a combination of up to 4 a game. Those are the kind of stats he's capable of bringing to the team. So he's more like a Derek Pardon type, which fits in nicely. Now, the two guys that I really am interested in here are the new acquisitions, Jonah Bolden and Sam Menenga, right? Both of them had solid years, I thought, last year, but maybe not the best fit under the various coaches or the systems they were in, with Jonah being under Mood in Sydney and Menenga in a bit of a logjam with centers and power forwards at Cairns. So I really think that having Gillespie, who's that rim running big man, and surrounding him with these stretch bigs in Bolden and Menenga is really good for New Zealand. They've got that front court depth covered pretty well. What do you think about Jonah Bolden and what he can bring?
Mate, honestly, I love Bolden on this team. You're right. I think it didn't quite work out with him in the Kings. It was a loaded team. Maybe, him and the coach went on the same page there. He's huge, firstly. He's an absolute beast of a guy. He can really stretch the floor and everything else like that. From all accounts, he's quite hungry to get there. He's a little bit disappointed how last season went. This is a guy with NBA experience under his belt, Boomers, teams under his belt sort of thing there. So I forget how old he is. Is he still in his late 20s maybe or something? Or
27, 28.
So he's coming up to that prime of his career athletically and stuff like that now. So he's definitely got a point to prove. And I like the player that might have that sort of a chip on his shoulder. He's moving away from his, hometown and everything else like that, where maybe there was a little bit more pressure on him. So, I think that's a really good signing for New Zealand. I've been saying that all off-season as well, so I think they've done well there. And you talked about Sam Menenga as well. You're right. There was a logjam in Cairns with the big men last season. He definitely showed some stuff. He's a big boy. So him and Gillespie, protecting inside and stuff, that's a pretty formidable sort of combo inside there. So I've got to say, Woods, I don't mind this team.
Yeah, me neither. And just quickly, I want to mention Kareem Lopez. I don't know if you've heard about it. He's a 17-year-old Mexican swingman. He joined the Breakers as part of the Next Stars program.
Got some great hair, I know that.
Yeah, great hair. And mock drafts actually have him projected to be taken with a first-round pick, with some even flagging his potential to be chosen in the top 5. And he stands at 210 centimeters. He's already represented Mexico at international level. He made his debut during the Olympic qualifiers this year. And look, that long list of next stars in that New Zealand Breakers program, Jang, RJ Hampton, Ryan Rupert, who am I missing? There's one more, Hugo Besson, right? They've got they've got a track record of bringing next stars through the system that end up going to be drafted. So
you said RJ Hampton as well, right?
Yeah, I said RJ Hampton. Yep.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's been a proven sort of spot for players to end up drafted there, sort of thing. So yeah, high hopes, and he may end up having a better career than Gustavo Ion. You reckon maybe that's a chance there out of Mexico there. We know we'll have a huge following there. But no, there's been a bit of hype on this guy. I've heard about this guy for a year or two now, and I didn't realise he was that big actually. So geez, they've got a big team, don't they, if you throw him into the mix there. So,
and Eduardo Najera, speaking of other Mexicans, has done a lot of work with him.
One of your favourites.
Been a bit of a mentor for him as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. And finally, I just want to mention Max Darling, right? This kid had an opportunity at Illawarra a few years back under Brian Gorgian, didn't get much playing time, went back to the New Zealand NBL, really dominated, was on that New Zealand Breakers team last year, didn't get much court time. I'd like to see him elevated and get some opportunities this year for the Breakers.
Definitely. One thought I have on the Breakers as well, Woods, they've got to turn their home court back into a fortress, right? They've got to have these teams coming over and doing these long road trips. And, you get 14 home games. I think they need to win 9. They need to almost go 9-5 at home there. Obviously, you'll probably say where you expect them to finish there. But, yeah, I reckon that's a real key for them. Obviously, playing under a new coach that maybe doesn't know the NBL. We know it's a niche kind of league there. It's not something you can come into straight away, as we've seen with some of these recent coaches. That haven't worked out in their first seasons. Obviously, there's a few exceptions of guys like Roth coaching there. But no, I'm sort of pretty high on this team, and sort of just looking at this depth chart and talking about it with you now, maybe I might move them up a spot from where I might have had them originally.
I mean, Matt Mooney fits in. I mean, he's not going to be an all-star import that's going to put up 20 points a game, but he fits into what they're looking to do. You bring in local talent like Menenga and Bolden. You can afford to have someone like Mooney as your third import.
Freddie so would Gillespie, you say he's a better team fit than like a Glenn Rice Jr., for example? Or?
Anyone is, man. Anyone is.
Yeah.
And Freddie Gillespie can replicate some of the things that Derek Pardon did, right? So they're looking to replicate some of the success they've had with their imports in the past. His new coach is an unknown commodity, but I've got him at 15 and 13 playing just over 500 ball, right?
15 and 13. I'm going to do something I don't often do. No, actually, I'm going to say they go 500. I'm going to say they go 14 and 14, and I'll have them sitting in around 6th place for that. I think it could be a bit of a logjam, maybe some similar sort of records there. But yeah, I think the top 4 is pretty locked in, I would have thought. Our teams plus Melbourne and Tassie.
I've got our teams just 1 and 2, man.
Hopefully it's Perth 1 though. And then I think they're in that next level, aren't they? Teams like Illawarra, New Zealand, maybe Brisbane if they continue some of their pre-season form. I think every team goes in with high expectations, and maybe Adelaide and Cairns. No, I said United in the top 4.
Yep.
But I think this New Zealand team is going to be one to watch as well. I like what they've done there, and just some interesting players in this team that could be some good basketball to view there.
I hear that, man. Shall we move on to the Jack Jumpers?
Let's do it. Let's talk about the champs. The Woods will just maybe run through this depth chart and some incoming players and outgoing players. Not a lot of movement, is there, Woods? Obviously, they've tried to keep this championship team intact there. But, yeah, what you got for us there?
Right, so contracted players coming back. Anthony Drimmick, Clint Steindl, Fabian Krislovich, Majok Deng, Milton Doyle, Shawnee Mack, Walter Brown, Will Magnay, and Jordan Crawford. Incoming, we've got Brody Nunn. We've got Craig Sword. I'd be interested to get your thoughts on Craig Sword. Gorjak Gak, really good signing in my opinion if he can stay healthy. Ruben Tarangi, Nicholas Stoddart, Archie Woodhill, and the depth chart as it looks. You've got Jordan Crawford, Milton Doyle, and you've got Anthony Drimmick and Majok Deng starting at the 3 and 4, and Will Magnay at the 5.
I'll speak about that for sure.
Right? Yeah. And you're losing Marcus Lee, that two-headed monster. So in the center rotation, you've got Gorjak Gak and Fabian Krislovich. In the power forward rotation, you've got Tarangi and Woodhill. Clint Steindl can play the 2 or the 3. And you've got Sword, Brown, Stoddart at shooting guard, and McDonald and Nunn at the point guard. So, yeah, Robbie, I'd be interested to get your
Look, I said with United last week, for sure. I said with United last week there hasn't been a lot of turnover, and that's kind of a similar roster there. I mean, look, there's a few lesser name there, guys that'll be DPs or filling up the bench. But essentially, they've lost Jack McVeigh, they've lost Marcus Lee, right? And they've tried to sort of patch up the McVeigh spot at the forwards, which I'll talk about, and obviously they've added Sword there. So, look, I guess my thoughts on the reigning champs. I'll certainly be looking to defend the Isle again this year. I think it's going to be tough without Jack McVeigh. Look, I'm absolutely thrilled, Woods. He's my second favourite NBL player. Thrilled to see him getting that contract with Houston in the NBA, but look, it's such a big loss for this team. But as I said, besides losing Jack and Marcus Lee, they really have maintained that core of last year's championship team. So probably the main addition you'd say would be Craig Sword. So not only has he got a cool surname, but he's also someone that's, he's got a lot of experience and he's expected to provide dynamic play at both ends. So for those that don't know about Sword, so he really is a veteran, a 30-year-old 6'3" two guard. He played 3 games with the Washington Wizards in 2022. But look, he's been a fixture on various G League teams over the years. He's known for his leadership and energetic defense. So, and I was thinking, with Sword signing and joining Milton Doyle and Jordan Crawford, is this the smallest import trio we've ever seen in the NBL? I reckon it's got to be close, right? Like, it wouldn't be often that, I'm above average height. I'd be taller than all 3 of those guys. I wouldn't have thought I could have said that about many import trios that you've seen in the past, right? That's a tiny import trio. We're talking
might have had
Jordan Crawford's
and another small guard at some point.
Maybe when they had 2 or something imports here. But in terms of 3 there, I'm maybe surprised they didn't try and go. And look, from what I hear about Sword, even though he's 6'3" two guard, he probably can, play the 3 in certain situations. And I think Milton Doyle can play the 3 in situations as well. They play a little bit maybe bigger than their listed height there with athleticism and stuff like that.
I'll tell you something about Craig Sword. Listed at 6'2", 6'3". This guy averaged a block a game in college, right? So when you got a guy from the guard position giving you those kind of block numbers, he's defensive minded, right? So
No, that's it. He's certainly known for that defence there. So, look, they're going to be really hoping for a healthy and productive season again from Will Magnay. I'm excited to see how he goes this year coming off the well-earned Olympics selection there. And he's going to be joined in the big man department by Gorjak Gackwoods, who's fast turning into a bit of a journeyman in this league now. He seems to be bouncing around a little bit there now. Look, my one concern, and I think, anyone that saw that depth chart or heard you read it out then, is definitely the forward positions, right? So, look, their main forward spots we've got in that starting lineup, we've got a combination of Drimmage, Steindl, Deng and Tarangi. So, look, these are guys we've seen for a number of years in the NBL, and, this could have been 4 names you read out 5 seasons ago. So, look, they're 4 guys, they're solid. I just think starting 2 of them is a little bit problematic. I really do, against some of these loaded teams. Maybe if you're starting one of them there, it wouldn't be sort of so bad. Do you reckon there's reason to be concerned with the forwards on this roster?
Definitely. I mean, you think about Majok Deng, he did have a really good finish to last year, but he'd lost the support of Scott Roth throughout the season at times, and he was getting DNP CDs.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, you look at elevating to a starting spot, that's a lot to ask. What's he going to play 20, 25 minutes a game now, right? So, losing Jack McVeigh is a huge hole, right? He's the spiritual leader.
It was always going to be hard to fill, And like I said, they'll try their best with that veteran core there. But I think Clint Steindl at this stage of his career, you know what you're getting from him there. Ruben Tarangi Woods, I'm not sure he's coming in really shifting the needle too much for this team. Like, he's a veteran. He can come on and play his role and do a few things okay, but he's not going to be, competing and beating some of the other good forwards in the league there. So
probably
that's
more
definitely
inclined to start Tarangi ahead of Majok Deng and bring Majok Deng off the bench. Potentially, he's at least.
I like Deng for that instant offense as well. When he comes on and just can sort of launch sort of thing. But look, in saying that, I think their big men are good, like as in their 5s, and we mentioned how good the guards are. I think McDonald's, he's really coming along well. So if you think the 3 imports that I've mentioned, plus Sean McDonald as well, that's 4 really solid players there. Guys that can get after it as well. We mentioned Sword's defense. McDonald's a great defender as well. I'd say Milton Doyle's probably an underrated defender. He's someone that can pretty much do it all, can't he? We know he hits big shots there. What was your thoughts on bringing Jordan Crawford back? I thought he had a bit of a mixed season last year. He certainly ended the season so well, and hit some massive shots there. What's your thoughts on the little guy there?
He was awesome. Really fun to watch. Yeah, he had some ups and downs last year, but he brought a championship to that team. From all reports, his teammates loved him. The community over there loved him. His family liked it over there. The thing is, losing Jack McVeigh now, it's more important bringing him back now, because he's one of those guys that drives that team forward. So I think it's a really good decision bringing him back. One thing I am concerned about is that Gorjak Gak, Will Magnay, questionable injury history.
Yeah, So if you factor in that questionable injury history from both of those guys, plus the limited forwards that we've got, if Gak or we've got guys like Krislovic as well, who we know is a veteran that can still help out. No, he's left, hasn't he, Krislovic?
He's there.
He is still there. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, my bad. So look, if one of those, Gak or Magne gets injured there, you're really testing out that depth of, your Krislovic, your Tarangi, your Steinel, your Deng, those sort of guys like that. So yeah, I don't know. And even Drimic at this stage of his career to be a starter, I'm not quite sure. Do you think he'd start on many other teams in the league? I wouldn't have thought so. Probably that 3 position's a pretty key position for each team there. So again, great player off your bench, a good 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th player even on a deep team there. But to be starting, it's expecting a lot. But look, we've got to put that faith back in Scott Rothright. He really gets the best out of these teams. So if we're talking records as well, Wood. So this is basically a team. This is going to be their 4th season, so they've never finished outside of the top 4 in their 3 seasons so far, Woods. Last year they finished 16 and 12 in 3rd place, and they've had the same record the last 2 seasons, and in their first season they won 17. So they've either won 16 or 17 games all 3 years, so that's a pretty amazing stat. As much as there is some concerns with that roster, I still say they're going to finish in the top 4, and I'll say maybe they drop 1 game and it will be their lowest record. But I'm going to say they finish 15 and 13. So that's the record I think you had for the Breakers there. But I expect that to be good enough for 4th place if they get the percentage there. What's your thoughts on that?
My head says they're going to play under 500 ball and probably be just outside of the top 6 or around that 6th spot. But
outside of the 6
or around that
that's
6.
Your head, what's your heart saying? Yeah.
I'm going to say around that 6th spot, right? Just
is that controversial? Will people be hitting you up on X tomorrow?
6. I don't know, man. Like, I'm probably wrong. It's Scott Roth, man, right?
So how many wins would you have as that if they're 6? So if they won 16 last year, what do you got, winning 13 or something?
13 or 14.
13 or 14. And look, a 3-game loss isn't a lot, isn't it? If we see a more competitive league with teams more sort of grouped up together, that could still be enough for 5th, right? They could still be just in that playing contention there. So look, you've got to have faith in Scott Rothler, right, and getting the best out of these guys, and bringing back those core players that know how to win. Guys that had big finals games. They're not going to be afraid to win at the end of games, are they? When you've got guys like Milton Doyle and Jordan Crawford on the team, I mean, they're proven match winners. Those guys. Maybe Craig Sword's that X factor though, Woods, if he can come in and really give them a lot, from both ends. He's known as a defender. If you can, average high teens maybe as well on the offensive end, that could be a good start. And Will Magne, what sort of season can we expect from him? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if he can stay healthy and take his game to the next level, that's great. I'm just not 100% sold on him staying healthy all year. There's not much difference.
I mean, he proved it last year though, didn't he? He was pretty healthy last year.
There's not much difference from last year, but Jack McVeigh leaving and that weakness at the forward spots, right? Now, can Craig Sword come in and fill that gap? And can it be by committee we cover what we lost from Jack McVeigh? And even Marcus Lee's a bit of a loss. Having that 2-headed monster at the center position was also good. But yeah.
And I wonder what the contract situation is with McVeigh. So say he's obviously got the 2-way contract with Houston. Say it doesn't work out for whatever reason. He ends up getting released. We've seen it with guys like Galloway, your boy Xavier Cooks and that. I'm assuming that Tassie would have first rights to get him back. I'm not sure exactly how that goes. And surely he'd want to go back there. Sort of
I'm hearing maybe it was guaranteed this year.
Kings will get the vault out and the Kings will pay for him maybe and then get another player on their roster.
I'm hearing it's guaranteed.
So you reckon guaranteed?
Yeah, the first year is
interesting.
guaranteed.
Well, that's a good thing. I think he's deserved that as well. And I'm looking forward to get that Jack McVeigh Houston Rockets jersey as soon as I know what number he's going to be. And maybe a Luke Travers one with that news that he's officially signed with the Cavs as well. So yeah, so I guess that's the end of my preview on the Jackies. So I've got them finishing 15 and 13 in 4th place behind the Kings, Wildcats, and United. But again, an intriguing team. When was the last time we saw? So Kings obviously had the back-to-back. I'm trying to think, because Wildcats, they win one, lose one kind of thing. So look, it is hard to defend a title. It is in all sports. But yeah.
Well, in a few weeks, it'll be interesting to sit down and work out our standings and our awards and everything, and bounce some ideas off each other and see what we come up with. Yeah.
Definitely. And we'll see how these teams go with the Blitz as well, because I think there's been pre-season games from each team. You're probably not showing a lot. I think the Blitz, people are going to try and get, lineups in place, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of what's going to be, likely for round 1 there. So, yeah, bring it on.
All right, cool. So maybe some quick hits while we're on that topic. The Blitz is coming up, but you mentioned Luke Travers. How happy are you to see him link up with the Cavs?
Really pleased. When there was that little bit of silence about that, I'm like, oh man, I hope this works out. What's going to happen is, would he potentially go to Europe or something, or the G League? But great that he's there. I'd love to see him just get a chance, right? They're a bit of a blue collar team, I would have thought. Cleveland. I think he's someone that could fit in pretty well there in that Eastern Conference, and give them some minutes. I think Okoro's status is still, they still haven't re-signed him, so could he fill up some of those minutes that he played last year? And if he continues to work on his shot, we know what a great defender and ball handler he is. I think he could have a decent sort of go of it there, and I'm really hoping the best for him.
Yeah, I think Australian honours.
The fans are going to love him too, right? That haircut, the Aussie, they're going to love him in Cleveland for sure.
They're going to love him, and as I said, Australian honours aren't too far away for him. Hopefully, right?
Yeah, hope so. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's a few guys we clear out from that Boomers team, Woods, and put him in. I would have thought so. Yeah.
For sure. All right, so Deng Adel, he's showing some really good early signs. I haven't seen a lot of pre-season, but I've been following. Some box scores, reading some articles, and getting some feedback. And from all reports, Deng Adel looks really good for Brisbane. And Brisbane looks a lot better than we initially pictured, right?
Yeah. I'm the same. I haven't seen a lot of the preseason games. There's been a few kind of shaky live streams on various pages. A few games have kind of been played behind closed doors. But, yeah, they're 3-0 now, the Bullets. So maybe they potentially a little bit better. Again, it is just the pre-season. But they look to be in sync early, Wood. So Deng Adel and my boy Rocco, they're both playing great there. Yeah. I think Rocco's averaging double-figure points, killing it on the defensive end as well. So maybe that could be a bit of a dynamic duo there, I would have thought. If you're looking for NBL jam duos, that could be pretty good, right? Deng Adel and Rocco in the paint there. So maybe that could be one of those surprising teams, right?
Two good guys for Supercoach potentially as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know Rocco's cheap. Deng Adel, yeah, those forward spots are hard, aren't they? It's one of those things. And maybe we could talk a little bit more in that week before the season starts a bit more about Supercoach. But yeah, do you go guys with that premium price tag guys like Xavier Cooks? He's a proven player in Supercoach, but he's him and Bryce Scott are so expensive to buy there. Do you try and sort of fill your roster with lesser players and get a bit more depth there, or do you just go those two guns?
Yeah, we didn't do our fantasy and start and sleeper this year like previous years, did we?
All right, let's do it. So let's start now. 2 weeks late. So give me your fantasy start and sleeper for New Zealand. What do you got?
Okay, so fantasy stud for New Zealand. I'm gonna go with Parker Jackson Cartwright as the stud, and I'm gonna go with the Mexican Karim Lopez as a sleeper, because looking at that rotation, he's gonna get an opportunity to play. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll go straight. I'll go Milton Doyle, of course, is the fantasy start. I'm going to say sleeper, maybe Sean McDonald there. I mean, probably not a sleeper in terms of guys know his game there, but I think he could get a little bit more minutes, and I don't think he'll be that expensive if you're looking at Supercoach. I haven't looked at his exact price there, but
what about
he could definitely put up some numbers at defensive end too. I'll do without those forwards. I'm not going to talk about my concerns with them and then put one of them on my team. But what are you talking about? 30-something-year-old, Tarangi or Anthony Drimich in your team? So I'll say those two. And look, apologies we've forgotten about those with the other teams. We'll talk a little bit more about Supercoach in the coming weeks and during the season for sure.
Cool. And finally, Cam Oliver looking really good in a Sydney Kings uniform, playing alongside Xavier Cooks. They put a beating on New Zealand.
Mate, I said it last week, that roster it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm glad they've got someone with the experience that Brian Goorjian's got, because that's going to be a hard team to coach, right? There is so much quality, just as I plug in my laptop, so much quality on that team. It's almost their second five that they run out there isn't going to be as good as some teams' starting fives. It's crazy to think that there. I mean, guys like Galloway, he's not going to be starting, is he? He's coming back now, going to be coming off the bench with that NBA experience, or at least the G League and being in the system with the Bucks there coming back. But
Isaiah Liafa's not going to play that much either. You look at that Jalen Adams, Sean Bruce, Isaiah Liafa. They're going to go with the veteran a little bit as well.
Hey, one other thing I want to do, Woods, I've started hearing Derek Rucker's doing his top 15. Why don't we do our top 15 players before the season starts? We won't confer with each other sort of thing. We'll do it one episode. We'll count down from 15 to 1. Just see how different we are with some of those.
We've got to fit it in quickly then, right?
All right, we'll be quick. Yeah,
as in, we don't have many weeks left till the season starts.
Right? Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, any other quick hits, NBL news? Oh, Todd Withers, man, what's he doing in Perth? Tell me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Look, I'm still hearing various reports here. I think there can only be two reasons why the Hawks have signed him as, an injury replacement train-on type player. So the two scenarios could be one of ours is in Perth, the imports has maybe got an injury cloud. That could be probably the number one reason I would have thought. But there is also some mail, and I know you've heard it as well, that maybe Bryce Cotton's citizenship is close to going through. It's one of those things now, I'll believe it when I see it. It's just been such a tease over the years. But I don't mind that. I know a few people, you said to me as well, you didn't like Withers when he played for Adelaide. I didn't like Withers when he played with Adelaide because he was like they're supposed to be their main guy on the team. If, say, hypothetically, if Cotton does get his citizenship and Withers comes in, he's probably a seventh, maybe eighth guy on that Wildcats team. So that's a pretty solid. And we're talking about those forwards in Tassie and stuff like that. Someone like Withers, that'd be a great addition. So, but it's a strange move. I've got to say, it took me and it took a lot of people by surprise of seeing that news come out late last week.
Yeah, and Todd Withers, since his last stint at Adelaide, has had an opportunity to play in the NZBL, also in the NBL 1 in this off-season. So who knows what kind of player
he must like it down here, right? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. And look, if we're talking just some other sort of quick hits, there's obviously the news in Golden State Woods that Steph Curry signed that 1 year with a $63 million extension there. So I thought that was pretty amazing there. So massive money there. So I know there's always these rumours there, the Lakers going to get him or something else like that. There is no way he will play in another NBA jersey. He's just one of those players that he has to play out his career there just to be a one-team player. I know he's got ties in Charlotte and stuff like that. He's not leaving Golden State to go play for the Hornets, let's face it. But I think I saw today we're down to, 50-something days until the NBA season starts as well. So quite remarkable how quick that's coming up. We'll have to get our fantasy leagues organised for that. Woods, I know our Yahoo league we do. This is probably, I think this is like year 23 that we've been doing that fantasy league there as well, which is pretty cool there. So it has been. It's definitely a good time of year. You've got the NFL starting this week, which I'm pleased about, and then NBA kicks in, and then it's the best time of year.
All right. Well, I got a classic pack, a real classic pack today, right? One of my favorites.
Nice.
These didn't come cheap. 92, 93 Ultra Fleer. Yeah?
Are these ones with the coating on the front? Or no, they were Top's Finest, weren't they? You remember those ones that had the coating on? It was that thing, do you pull the... I think that was Top's Finest.
Yeah, one gold, one each, right? The Top's gold.
Yeah, something like that. And look, I may have teased last week I'm going to do a show and tell with some of these card collections I've got lately. Yeah. We're not going to do a classic packs next week. We've actually got a special guest coming on. I won't sort of spoil that, but it's someone that's an absolute expert when it comes to the Sydney Kings. But the week after that, I'll bring some cards along with for a show and tell. So maybe just a couple of surprise ones that I can maybe quiz you on, right?
Yep, for sure.
Cool.
Okay, the bodyguard.
Give us a good pack this week.
Really big guard.
Anthony Mason.
Really big guard from Boston.
Sherman Douglas?
Sherman Douglas.
The Sherman tank. The Shermanator. Yeah, he was a big boy, wasn't he? A point guard there. Plenty of time with Miami as well.
This is his Atlanta Hawks card, but I remember him fondly with the Utah Jazz, potentially backing up Greg Ostertag, big white guy.
Not Greg Foster. No.
Greg Foster.
Was he a white guy or was he a halfie?
Yeah, I think he could be halfie. He could be a halfie.
He was pretty solid though, right? Yeah. Did he end up with Indiana maybe as well? I think maybe at the end of his career.
He was at Utah for a bit, backing up Ostertag, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was certainly at Utah for a while, yeah. Show us the back of those cards, would you? I always like to see the back of them come up. Got a photo on them as well? Or? Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? You got the double photo on the back and then some stats and stuff. So definitely they're decent looking cards. Yeah, nice.
This is his... Dunk. This says NBA Jam Session Dunk Rank 2. I really don't compare myself to anyone. My goal is to dominate. This guy is possibly the greatest rim protector to ever play the game of basketball.
Dikembe, right?
Dikembe Mutombo.
Nice. What's it got in gold under that? What does it say under the Fleer Ultra bit? What's that gold bit?
Dunk rank number 2. So he's ranked as a top 20 jammer. So he's a second ranked jammer of that season. Yeah, which is...
Wouldn't have quite picked that one, but yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't really see his highlight mixtape of dunks there, but geez, great player.
Okay, I've got the number 11th ranked dunker, and we've talked about this guy on last week's episode. He was involved in a trade from Philly to Phoenix. Phoenix to Philly for Charles Barkley.
Oh, Tim Perry.
The
one I mentioned who was in the dunk comment stuff as well, yeah. Who have we got? Is that Alvin Robertson in the background?
No, it's Eric Murdoch. What a legend.
Oh, Eric Murdoch, yeah, definitely. I love those old Bucks jerseys.
Rage shooter he was, man. Like, loved
definitely him. That era with, Todd Day and all those sort of guys of the Bucks.
Yep. This is a name I haven't heard. Big white stiff who wore number 54 from Cleveland, man. Come on, you've got to know this guy.
54. Is he Euro or American?
He's American. He went to college at Minnesota. Now, his name sounds a bit like another great dunker who played for Houston, who moved to volleyball. His name sounds like that guy.
His last name?
Yeah.
That would be Chase Budinger.
Jay Guttinger.
Oh, wow. Jeez. I don't think I would have got that one. Jeez, that's a real blast from the past. How did his career pan out, Woods?
Let's have a look. Jay Guttinger.
Not too great, I would have thought.
Let's have a look. Now that you're asking me, let's have a quick look.
I don't reckon he would have survived more than a couple of seasons, I wouldn't have thought. Sort of that era there, playing with the Cavs. Ilgauskas would have probably been there that time, wouldn't he? I would have thought.
Jay Guttinger. All right, here we go.
It's such a random name, it's not even pre-populating when you put it in Google.
Yeah, okay.
It hasn't been searched very often.
So he played 3 seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers and 1 season in the G League. And after he retired from basketball, he became an assistant coach at Cleveland State University. Yeah, where he still coaches. Anyway, yep, cool. Yeah, didn't last for long. Right, this guy had a whole heap of personality. Really known for that Run TMC team. This is Orlando Magic jersey, but he was on that Run TMC team. He was a joker in the locker room. Another white guy. This is random white guys in his pack.
Tom Talbot?
Tommy Talbot, exactly. Great personality.
I do remember that card, actually. Yeah, no, he was pretty solid, wasn't he, Tom Talbot?
Yep.
Tommy Talbot, as I used to like to call him.
I loved him with our Atlanta Hawks. This is his New York Knicks card. Great guard, one of the great guards of that era of the 80s and 90s, now moved into coaching.
Doc
Rivers.
Glenn Rivers. Has it got Glenn or Doc on there?
Doc. Doesn't even have Glenn, yeah.
Doc.
Okay.
I just love that voice, you know. You're hearing the way he shouts out from the sideline. Just such a unique voice is Glenn Doc Rivers.
I hated it when the Pistons traded this guy. I loved him. He is the OG bad boy, right? And
Rick Mahorn, yeah, he went in the expansion draft, I think. Yeah. It's funny, I was playing some NBA Jam on that awesome arcade machine the other day, and I saw Rick Mahorn come up on there as well. Wood, so yeah, no, he was.
That was solid, the expansion draft for Minnesota.
Would have been Charlotte and Orlando. Minnesota and Charlotte. Yeah, maybe Charlotte. I think it might have been. Yeah.
Charlotte 88, right? So that's about right. Yeah.
Thump and Bump, right? Him and Charles Barkley were known as Thump and Bump.
Legend, man, the Rifleman's father. The Rifleman. Sorry.
The Rifleman. Oh, of course, Chuck Person. That's one of my favourites there. Rocked his jersey on the show there, so yeah, loving that. 45. Who's he being guarded by there? Is that a Jazz player there or?
LaFonso Ellis.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It looks
throwback there. Jeez.
Like. So Wesley Person, obviously son of Chuck Person. Yep.
No, he's cousin, I believe.
Cousin, is he? Yep.
Cousin. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Love this guy. So underrated. One of the greatest shooters of all time. Multiple-time NBA All-Star. This is his Spurs card, but I remember him most fondly with the Sonics. What a legend.
Oh, got to be Dale Ellis, right?
Dale Ellis.
Another player we mentioned that ahead of his time. I think that's maybe Divats in the back of that card. He was pretty big. What's his listed as height there, Woods? Because he was like a good 6'7".
6'7". I would love a Dale Ellis jersey, man. I would love one.
That would be a nice one.
Love one.
For Seattle or Denver or Spurs?
Has to be Sonics. Has to be Sonics, right?
That could be your white whale, like my, what's the one I'm always trying to get? My,
Lionel
Washington
Simmons?
Wizards one. Robert Pack.
Robert Pack.
Yeah. No, I got my Lionel Simmons.
Yeah, so
Robert Pack, and you need a Dale Ellis in your collection.
Checklist.
Oof, that's a boring. What's anything on the back? Or what's
nothing. It's just like random numbers.
That's a boring checklist too. It's not even a team emblem or anything. Yeah, definitely. So I'm guessing your dog's quite close if you're not ripping that and throwing it over your shoulder, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Washington Wizards forward center. I don't even know this guy. Number 23. Averaged 1.1 points a game. Played 75 games. Shot less than 500 from the free throw line. So he's better than Freddie Gillespie.
Wow.
Chuck Jones. Charles Jones.
Charles Jones, yeah, I do remember him. He was a bit of a veteran guy, wasn't he? Maybe played with the Bulls as well, or Spurs maybe. Does it mention his other teams there? Or?
No, doesn't have that. Only the Hoops cards have the years, which is good, right? Yeah.
Few forgetful ones in this packwards, I've got to say.
TT. Chicago Bulls.
Terry Teagle.
No.
Oh, Trent Tucker.
Trent Tucker.
Is he actually wearing a Bulls jersey, or is it like that 3-point comp where they had the? I know that was Craig Hodges, wasn't it? Yeah, no, Trent Tucker. Now I'm thinking Bulls and Knicks, right? Trent Tucker, yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yep. Okay, Charlotte Hornets, big white stiff. Come on, man, you know who he is, the OG.
George Zudek.
No, similar sort of name, like European sort of name, like. Number 42. Number 42. He was solid, man. 42. Like he had some pretty good seasons where he put up like double-digit points and rebounds. Mike Kaminsky.
I was just about to say it. Yeah, with his mullet. Yeah, former Philadelphia player. So I think he might have been one of those players that went over there in that expansion draft as well to get to Charlotte. So yeah, wow, not a lot of big names in that one. A bit of a blast from the past for some of them. Can you tell me that Cleveland guy's name again? Because I've forgotten it already.
Guttinger.
Yeah. Who is he?
Jay Goodinger.
Sounds made up. It sounds made up. Yeah.
And that's his rookie card.
Who's he being guarded by there from the Wolves?
Luke Longley.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, Longley would have killed him on that match up there. So who do we get then? Was there actually anyone good apart from Doc Rivers?
Dale Ellis, Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah. Okay,
Sherman Douglas.
Good, yeah.
Chuck Person, Rick Mahorn. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Yeah, no, there's some decent ones there. There's just a few real low-level players to finish off. Charles Jones and that guy that might not even be real for Cleveland. So, no, that was fun, Woods. Good work on getting those.
No worries, man. Next week we'll do your show and tell. Do you want to just take the audience out with where we can be found and all of that?
Until the week after. So next week's a special guest.
Yes, for sure.
Next week's a special guest, and I'll do the show and tell after that. So, yeah, definitely. So, just a reminder, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be followed on X at Throwback Hoops. Woods, I believe you posted our great jerseys from last week. Mookie's amazing Rudy Fernandez and my Sharif Abdul-Rahim, both Blazers jerseys there. So check those out. Instagram, throwback.hoops, and email address is throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. And, of course, Patreon as well, Woods. Anyone that wants to pledge a little bit of support, a few dollars a month would really help us with the production and editing and all the expenses that are associated with maintaining this weekly show.
Thanks, Robbie. So really exciting. Just a few weeks left till the NBL season, as you teased. Special guest coming on next week. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, looking forward to have the Blitz on. I don't believe it's going to be on KO or ESPN. I haven't heard. Have you heard that? Is it just going to be streaming via the NBL site? But look, either way, it's pretty easy to find. That it is on KO Freebies, okay. And I've heard they've sold out a couple of nights there, which is a pretty good sign as well. So, yeah, looking forward to watch some of that. Get your Supercoach teams in. We're probably going to have a few spots left, Woods, in our Throwback Hoops podcast league. So we've got a few more ready to fill up, and then we'll put basically something out on X. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll sort of first in can get those spots. Looking forward to a competitive league in that one as well. So, no, it's been fun again as always, mate.
Thanks, Robbie, and to everyone. Until we do it all again next week, thank you and goodbye.
Peace.